陛下にあだなすとは。
Take it easy, Tak.
どうやって手に入れたんだこの異物を。
I'm sorry. I don't speak Japanese.
誰か答えられないのか The object in your hand? It's gonna bring you nothing but pain. Believe me, I know. ネズミどもを海に叩き落とせ
I am an envoy of the Emperor himself. I am no traitor!
Too close.
We must go now.
Season pass now. 4 DLC packs, 1 great price.
All right, so I'm joined here today with Jason Blundell, and the first question that the community has been just pouring out to me is that, are you, in fact, a sucker for Island DLC?
Always, 24/7 actually. I mean, sometimes when I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming about medieval castles.
Of course.
And I hope all the communication and conversation about this has conveyed that correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that one. Okay, on to my first real question.
Yes.
So obviously everyone just saw the cutscene for the first time ever.
Yep.
This is the intro cinematic
Yep.
to the new map. And the part that struck me the most out of it is that all of our characters seem to have the same importance on the summoning key that Richtofen does. And that's something that is a huge change from the cutscene that we saw right here with Dempsey.
Sure.
Dempsey going down, or Dempsey 1.0 going down. The characters now see it as almost as an important artifact as Richtofen does.
Right.
And they seem to be following him down this path again.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, can we expect to see more and more of this trust in Richtofen? And does that play into kind of a theme moving forward with not only DLC 2 but the rest of the DLCs?
I tell you guys give Richtofen a really hard time. I'm
not for unwarranted purposes.
That's true, but people change, things change, But I think that natural suspicion in the community is what the gang's going through as well, the team's going through, right? He's been the harbinger of evil and doom for so long that and death and destruction. I think that although he's saying that he is on a path, and they're seeing that now with they had to do it with Dempsey, and we're going into DLC 2. I think they're also wary of him, right? Because the rug has been pulled out in the past. So I think the summoning key's kind of importance and how they see it and an understanding of what they're trying to do is kind of coming in, and we're going to see more of that in the map. But the summoning key is an integral part.
So I was talking to you a bit about this earlier, but you actually mentioned something that I think the community has kind of taken for granted, and that is the name itself.
Yeah.
Of the summoning key.
It's interesting, isn't it?
And I was wondering, what exactly would you count as being summoned so far in the series? Has there been anything?
I don't think anything's been summoned so far.
That's because I was thinking. Obviously, we've had our 4 characters that that were kind of trapped in there throughout the events of Shadows of Evil, right?
Well, it's you finish Shadows of Evil, and you've obviously got the Shadow Man in there,
right.
and you've just got Dempsey in there. But yeah, I think I don't think we've explored the kind of mythical ramifications of its title.
and it's obviously something that ties into a little bit of the shirt you're wearing here. That it seems to have Apothicon background.
This thing. Oh,
yeah. So I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about what it is you're wearing and.
No.
Okay.
So we've done hints in the past talking about it. There was even kind of questions of, does this mean anything at all? It does, and I'm wearing it. Luckily, it's cropped off probably just before my gut starts. Mm-hmm. So,
very, very small text.
I need you then to kind of...
It's
there, right?
I was wondering if I could...
Stare at my body,
take a few pictures of it while I'm there.
It's all there, and it's on the back as well, but I'm not getting up because I'll fall out of frame and
right.
we'll get shouted at by technical people.
So it's interesting that if you guys haven't seen the pictures, on his back he actually has the Apothicon language. On the front he has the Keeper language, which the Keeper language isn't something that we've necessarily dove too far into.
Sure.
And it's kind of been focused all on the Apothicon language, the Apothicon translations, and that's something that started and was kind of mainly based in Shadows of Evil. So I was wondering, I was wondering, what is the significance of Shadows of Evil? Because it's very similar to Mob of the Dead in the fact that a lot of people consider it a novelty, kind of separate type thing. Apparently there's a Panzer here, so.
By the way, he's been working on this for the last hour playing this gameplay.
Yeah. We've been getting up to this point just to show off a little bit.
I've just been sitting here mocking him as he's trying to walk and chew gum at the same time. But I'm going to go back to that really important question you asked. So it's been going back earlier than that, right? It's Origins. Go back to Origins.
But see the symbols on the chest.
Yeah, but let me say another kind of comment, which is there's no such thing as a one-off map. So. And hopefully, through Der Eisendrache and through, Zetsubo no Shima, the community and followers of the storyline might start to see that everything is connected. We're all connected. That's right, I suppose. But, there is no such thing as a one-off map. And certain maps are absolutely integral to the story that's being laid out and getting us all the way ready to DLC 4 as well.
So speaking of how these maps are connected, and something that you may not focus on too much on the first time seeing the cutscene, but after seeing it for the second time, it's interesting that our characters seemingly have just appeared on this new location, right? That we started out, we just finished this map. Richtofen kind of states at the end that he knows where we're going.
Yep.
So since what point were they going to the boat, and how exactly did they get there? And is that an important question, or is that just...
I used to have an art teacher who used to say that the gaps between the artwork are just as important as the detail. And I think that applies in terms of how our maps work.
Right.
There is blocks of time which the community don't see, and that's important to set up certain themes.
Right.
And those blocks may or may not be answered in other techniques as they go along in the maps. But... yes, where we choose to start an experience and where we choose to end an experience is integral. And even when you end as well, sometimes people look and say, okay, there's the main Easter egg, that's the end of the experience.
Right.
Not always is. Sometimes there's other things to look for past that experience.
So you might say scraps of paper around the map.
It can sometimes go more overt than that.
There's just maybe some themes, because I was talking about this a little bit earlier, and you kind of gave me a, obviously, very cryptic answer here.
Sure.
But one thing that I noticed in this map in particular, in Der Eisen, which I'm not even going to try the last part of that.
Yeah, it's okay, man.
And something that people kind of took as kind of an aesthetic aspect. It looks cool, but things like this right here, where we see, if you guys don't notice, that is the same exact truck that appears in Shadows of Evil, and a lot of this stuff actually appears like this around the map. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts maybe on the bleeding of universes that we seem to be getting here.
I have lots of thoughts about that.
Would you care to share any?
Yeah, it's so we're talking about multiverses,
right?
And we're talking about the fracturing of time, and there's a lot of things that at first glance may seem like game conventions or game conceits, which we spent a long time working into our narrative, and actually the narrative then informing those conceits as well. It works the opposite way around as well. But definitely with the split universe, multiverses, a gang traveling around, use of teleporters and so forth.
Right.
All these kind of aspects are shaping the maps and shaping the worlds. You know, you can't really think of it as in a single kind of contiguous way.
Right.
That's part of half the complication. Like, so what we'll have is kind of sometimes very simple ideas, but then are wrapped in kind of complexity. But once you kind of get those simple premises, lots of things then kind of spell themselves out.
So will we be getting a few things spelled out in DLC 2?
Absolutely. I mean, so our goal will be, you know, to keep on presenting. Now, you know, like a magician, right? We want to put the things in front of you, and so you're looking at that nice sparkly thing.
Right.
Well, we're hiding the rabbit up our bum in the background. So that's the that's the trick. So
Right.
we're kind of putting things in front of the players, you know, so they kind of focus on and talk about it, and they're integral. But also, you might not be looking just past that object to see
Right.
the other glaringly obvious thing.
So what we know so far, we got a little kind of intro into the map, and it seems to me at least that Takio is going to be kind of the focus of this map. Obviously, for the last one, we had Dempsey kind of taking place, and that was his kind of quest here. So I was wondering, what kind of themes is Takio going to bring in when he faces his 1.0 version?
What a great question. That's not going to get answered.
The one
in this
that
session.
will not be answered. Of course.
I would. One thing that we're continuously doing with this DLC season is, and has been building upon great foundations of the past, is adding more dimension to our characters.
Right.
You know, what started off being quite two-dimensional in a way, you know, more stereotypical of the nation
Yeah.
and so forth, exploring the emotion, exploring the connection between those characters, and then, you know, you've got characters in this kind of fantastical world with this fantastical set of events happening.
Right.
You know, how do they come to terms with it? And some of these things which are, like, this is key to that character, how do you challenge that? How do you look at it? And how does the rest of the team respond to that?
Right.
Because they unwittingly all came together. So it's a growth of friendship and trust and mistrust. All that stuff is kind of playing on. Also on top of each person having to confront very taxing or trying things based in their own personality.
Like, you know, killing another dimensional
Yeah.
version of yourself.
You know,
might be a little stress in the
it's
head
a bit,
there.
You know, like Dempsey, you know, he's kind of, you know, brash and over the top and, you know, shouting the American thing and let's go. And ultimately had to switch off the life support machine on himself.
Yeah.
You know, a very moving, emotional moment.
I just got chills thinking about that cutscene again.
And I think that's the kind of, you know, I talk about the dimensions, that's what we're going
Right.
for. Like each character has to almost kind of confront the things which define them, right? And that, I think that's a statement about life as well.
Right. That's extremely deep.
But this live stream.
Such is the world of zombies.
Yeah.
So, talking about DLC 2 a little bit.
Yep.
What is your, just personally, and this you can throw in as many details about DLC 2 or choose not to,
Sure, I will, yeah.
as possible. What are your kind of favorite parts about starting a map, and like on the process from the map start to finish, what is your absolute favorite thing to do? So
That's a
in
really
the design process, just in general.
I mean, it's a really tough question because being in the games industry and being at Treyarch, no 2 days are the same. You know, you come into work one day, you come in the next day, something completely different. I'm going to say that the most enjoyable thing is just being surrounded by such creative and talented people who are solving the problems, right? I mean, I'm sat here being the mouthpiece of it, but there's hundreds of guys who are working very hard and are all experts in their field. And because we've been together so long, there's even conversations they don't need to have because it's just inherent knowledge of each other and how to work. And so I just love watching this kind of pouring of creativity, and that extends through all the disciplines, right? So you've got your programmers, you've got your artists, you've got your animators, you've got your sound engineers, you've got the list goes on, and seeing them tackling challenging problems, not only completing them, but then going further. You know, there's so much kind of love and passion that the team kind of plows in. I just love watching them do it, and then when you see at the end the pride that they have in that creation is phenomenal.
When that final product is put out there to the world.
Yeah.
And I know the community is very excited. And another question I had is, how much do you as developers look at community feedback and read up on what people are saying and take that into account whenever you're
our team
designing?
Absolutely very, very active, obviously, you know, and as you know from this conversation before we started, I'm technologically illiterate in terms of my abilities to have any knowledge of social media. But,
Right.
But they take it very kind of passionate, and that comes through in design.
Right.
Always down.
Yeah. Cut the cameras. Cut them.
Can we go again? Is this live? So that's really important because they then bring those concerns through.
Right.
But I think it's also important as well. Let's imagine I did know what the hell I was doing with the computer.
Right.
I think it's also important to not be too connected, because if you're too connected, then you're just following the narrative too closely with the community. So I think it's good that there's a lever of filter and there's a separation, but we also have large groups of our team who intently watch that stuff and then feed that into their design meetings and feed that into their direction. And then on top of that, obviously, we then have a rigorous kind of back-end QA support who's listening very intently to problems and bugs, because there's no piece of software that's ever been created that doesn't have bugs. So how do we find these ones quickly enough, and then how do we fix them and kind of guarantee a quality of product?
And you were saying that also is in big help due to the community and the support that the community gives.
You know, even if I have a 200-man QA team, that's not enough for the community when they play it, right? So
a couple million QA team right there.
Yeah. So you know, we go after that very vigorously and very seriously.
So speaking a little bit on the design process, and more specifically, kind of the maps. When you're designing Easter eggs, as I'm failing to do to accomplish right now.
Great.
Thank you.
It's okay.
I'm playing without sound.
No pressure.
It's a big issue.
He's saying that. He's making excuses now.
So whenever you go into actually designing an Easter egg, what is your target length of an Easter egg? What kind of challenges do you want to put in the actual design process when you're talking about it for the very first time?
It's a big question. So it's thought about in multiple strata. So we think about Easter egg components which are easier for people to get to. So there's like, hey, I'm a zombies guy. I can just about hold my own. There should be certain ones where you can get this thing. Then there's what people talk about as the main Easter egg.
Right.
And then the complexity of that is based on what map came before, what the properties of the map are, because the geo and the kind of atmosphere and attitude, so for DLC